Bonjour, my name is Thibaut Beaujot and I'm the president of the French-New Zealand Chamber of Commerce. For 35 years, our non-for-profit organization has supported the French-New Zealand business community in New Zealand and facilitates trade between New Zealand, France, and the French Pacific. Today, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Leon Fung, Danone NZ Operation Manager, Director, and Alex Lagny, Veolia New Zealand Country Director. For these French-Australia-New Zealand Business Days, we have decided to bring you a discussion about an infrastructure and industrial collaboration between two French major companies in the Otago region of New Zealand. In fact, Danone has recently invested $30 million in its dairy spray drying plant in the Otago region in the South Island here in New Zealand. The investment is part of a wider plan towards achieving carbon neutral. This significant industry-leading milestone will be driven primarily by the installation of a biomass boiler, which will reduce the plant's CO2 emissions by 20,000 tons. Veolia is responsible for the designing and the managing of the construction of a state-of-the-art biomass boiler, guaranteeing the future operation and performance of steam production for leading global food company Danone. Bonjour Leon, bonjour Alex, and welcome. Thanks very much for being with us.
Bonjour, Thibaut.
Hello.
Alex. Hello.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. So first things first, Leon and Alex, maybe you can start by giving us a little bit of context and tell us what is your footprint in the Australia-New Zealand region, so we have a better understanding of your activities here in New Zealand. Leon? Okay.
Thank you, Thibaut. Yes, in New Zealand and Australia ANZ region, we have about 700 staff, 500 in New Zealand from the whole supply chain. And we have 2 offices in Australia, in Melbourne and Sydney, looking at sales and marketing, the support business of the IT legal side as well. In New Zealand, we actually start from the liquid milk collection, from that to formulate it to the spray drying facility in Belkusa in the south Island, and we then take the product, nutritional base powder we called, to Auckland for our dry blending and canning facility here, and put into the finished goods. And in Auckland, we also have our own can forming plant, which supply our own cans packaging material to the can filling factory here in Entry in Auckland. And we do have 3 warehouse operations in New Zealand as well. So it's quite a bit operation if you are looking at manufacturing of infant formula products in the ANZ region. And of course, our key brands are Aptimo, Caracare, and Nutricia. So it's covered infant formula and also advanced medical nutritional products.
Okay, and I believe Danone has been present in New Zealand since 2007, right? Through Nutricia, and since 2014 through Balcluta. Yeah?
That's right. Danone started its operation back to 2007, and of course we have expand our operation in New Zealand since 2014, following the acquisition of the Sutton Group.
Thank you, Leon. What about you, Alex and Veolia? Can you tell us a little bit more about your operations in New Zealand?
Yes, Thibaut. So we've been present in New Zealand for 25 years now. And our key business here really is around providing water and wastewater services to councils, where we have 9 key clients. We have 300 employees, And most of our services are around managing networks, managing plants, or delivering projects. If we compare with Australia, where we're a lot bigger, Australia, we really have the three key businesses of Veolia present there: water, waste, and energy. And we have more than 4,000 employees in Australia.
Okay. Leon, so thank you very much for that, Alex and Leon. Leon, can you tell us more about this biomass projects that you're running?
Sure. As we all know that the heat is very important to process the milk, convert the liquid milk into the milk powder format, right? And of course, the heat comes from the steam in the dairy industry, and we have to have quite big size boiler, steam boiler, to supply the steam. And of course, the project we are working on, the biomass boiler project, is to replace the current LPG gas boiler to be more green and sustainable resources to supply the steam energy. So it's a very important project for Danone. It's an iconic project for our commitment to the environmental friendly operation by using the regenerative energy. Yeah, and as you said earlier in the beginning, it's a 30 million New Zealand dollars investment, and when we commission this plant, we expect that the CO2 reduction will be dramatically reduced by 20,000 tons per year. So it's a quite improvement.
Okay. And Alex, what has been Veolia role and involvement in this project?
I guess the collaboration between Danone and Veolia on this project started actually a long time ago. If I remember well, around 4 years ago, a couple of years before I actually arrived in New Zealand. And we really worked together with Danone around the feasibility, looking around in the world, in other countries where Veolia operates, similar installations, looking at, what would be the suitable technology, what's the proven track record of operation, how can we ensure that this investment is gonna work for the years to come. And that's how we starting engaging with Danone and with other parts of Veolia to find the most adequate solution. And then we work together to basically proceed through the project, designing, procuring the key components, and now we're project managing the construction, as Leon said. And we will ensure at the end that the commissioning runs smoothly and that the boiler is ready to operate.
Fantastic. That's a fantastic collaboration between two major French companies and experts in their field. So at what stage is the project at present? Can you share when it is expected to be completed?
Yes, sure. As Alex just said, we work together on this project in the early stage, and we get cooperate with several international companies to give us the best technology and support on this project. And of course, this year, 2020, is a little bit unique for everyone. There are a little bit delay or impact to our project, but we are well on track. We have been starting the site work back to July, and now we are pouring the foundation. So, and we are expecting the key components of the boiler to be delivered very shortly later this year. So we are on track, and we are still targeting to commission the plant later next year.
Yeah. Okay, and from your side, Alex.
Look, I think Leon summarized it pretty well. If we look at the design, is obviously 100% complete. Most of the key procurement is finalized as well. And then really, in terms of the concrete foundations, I think we could say we've done probably more than half of it. And it's trying to minimize the impact of COVID on the construction and try to get this installation obviously ready as quickly as we can.
Yeah, in fact, it has been a strange year for all of us, but fantastic to see that the delay on the project is quite minor, and that you will still be able to execute everything by mid next year. Do Danone and Veolia collaborate on other projects in New Zealand or elsewhere in the region or in the world?
Indeed, actually, Danone and Veolia are long-time business partners globally. There are projects we have done, similar projects we have done in France, in Netherlands. As a global partner on the water and wastewater treatment. We also have projects here in New Zealand on for example, the cow water recovery project, the wastewater treatment plant in Belkusa. So there's a lot of collaboration between the two parties. We also get a lot of technical support from Veolia. It has been a very good cooperation.
Okay.
Yeah, look, Thibaut, I guess, Danone for us is what we call at Veolia a key global account. And they're usually, let's say, very large partners with whom we provide services across several countries and in several areas. To give you an example, back in 2015, there was a global alliance signed between Danone and Veolia to tackle climate change. And that was looking at both waste, energy, and water initiatives to again improve Danone's environmental footprint. We, as an example of this global alliance, we've been delivering recently a plastic recycling installation in Indonesia. So I think there's plenty of examples, as Leon was saying, in the world where we've worked together to Danone, whether it's on the waste side, on the energy optimization, on managing wastewater. And the projects Leon was referring to, the cow water, I think it's a good example of how to minimize the footprint, because it's basically using water which would have gone to a wastewater treatment plant and actually purifying it to be able to use it as part of the process. And by doing that, limiting the extraction from the aquifer. So I think it's a good example on how we can, working together, reduce the impact on the environment. And there's plenty of similar projects all across the world.
That's fantastic. So yeah, Alex, you mentioned about the Global Alliance and the work you are doing in terms of tackling the climate change. So it seems like sustainability is really key for your organizations. Leon, can you tell us a little bit more about what drove Danone to make those changes to low carbon energy in New Zealand?
Yeah. Danone, as a company, a leader in the industry, really acknowledge the urgency of the climate change. It's impacting our life, and we can see the changes now, and also impact our generations. Right. So this is something we need to do now. We need to take action. So Danone, globally as a group, we have this one planet, one health vision, which drive us to look at to do business in a sustainable way, to use the renewable energy as a part of that. And if we are looking at a carbon neutral commitment, the group is targeted to get a carbon neutral by 2050. So it's a big commitment to the world. And of course, New Zealand, we are part of that. And we know that New Zealand have the good name of being green and very good in the environment. And Danone as an important player for the economic here in the community, we want to give back to the community, give our contribution. And the biomass boiler project itself is part of that commitment as a part of our stretch plan. So yes, it is not only iconic project in New Zealand, but also very essential, important project for Danone global commitment of carbon neutral.
Thank you, Leon. And Alex, obviously, I mean, Veolia, being a leader in that space, I'm sure you are sharing all those concerns and commitments to sustainability, right?
Yeah, look, I guess I'll start with a statement of our CEO, Antoine Frérot, that he did, I think, a couple of years ago. And it is, a business is successful because it is useful and not the other way around. And I think Veolia was one of the first companies in France to actually have a purpose, which was voted by the Assembly of Shareholders. And really, this purpose is around the commitment from the company to improve the world in any way we can. So right now, as an example, our approach is what we call the multifaceted approach. So we're looking at, for us, performing doesn't mean, delivering only shareholder returns. Performing means being able to be successful in 5 different areas: the shareholders, the planet, the employees, the society, and our clients. And so what it means is that we're taking worldwide commitments in those 5 areas. So they could be around, as an example, in the environment, they could be around plastic recycling. They could be around improving water efficiency on the networks we manage. But there will be as well towards our own employees, where they could be around from improving their safety, around the training commitment we take. And in a similar way, we're taking commitments in all those 5 areas. And those commitments and the results will actually be audited by a third party and are becoming as important as delivering financial results. So in a way, it's all about resourcing the world.
That's very inspiring. Thank you, Alex. And how does that project contribute to shaping attractive regions or attractive cities, which is a really important topic at the moment? Leon, do you want to develop on that?
Yes, Thibaut. Actually, as I said earlier, Danone operation in New Zealand, especially the Beaujot plant, actually is a very important player in the region. I think it's in several perspectives. In terms of the economy, it's a quite big contributor to the region. And of course, we employed more than 120 people in the factory in Beaujot alone. That gave, with the biomass project, actually we will create more job opportunities. We estimate that it will create plus minus 10 extra job opportunities directly and indirectly. And of course, we will operate the boiler itself, but also we will source the biomass fuel locally in the South Island with the local partner. And of course, that will create economic positively to the region and also the employment opportunity. And another thing I want to point out is also that this biomass boiler will be the first one in New Zealand to supply heat to the spray drying facility, spray dryer. And of course, by doing that, we will bring in the advanced technology to the region, the expertise to the region. So that is a good promotion for the region as well in terms of the technology side. And of course, we work together with partners like Veolia, but other well-known provider on the technology side.
Cool. What's your perspective on that, Alex?
Look, I guess I see this project a bit as a catalyst, for future projects, because obviously we all know about the growth we have in Auckland, in Taronga, big cities with some industries, but typically, those dairy plants would be more in the countryside, so in areas probably where usually there is less, let's say, less employment. and replicating those projects in other locations in the country. I think this project is going to be an example. And again, it's going to contribute to bringing more attractiveness to other regions as well. If I look at Balclutha as well, today it's putting Balclutha on the map, where it's not, let's say, necessarily a big city, if you want, and that's something quite unique, as Leon said, in the country. So, and again, it's about building new capabilities, with subcontractors, with suppliers, and all this contributes to making the region more attractive.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And if we look or we step in the future, let's say, Leon, what would be a sustainable factory? How will it look like for Danone in the future, and with all the work that you are doing at the moment, along with Veolia as a partner?
In Danone, we talk about 000 factories. The 000 means that zero water, zero carbon, zero waste. And we are working on the roadmap to be a 000 factory in New Zealand. And of course, the group target is that to be 000 factory by 2030, right? So it's another big objective and target to achieve. And of course, the biomass boiler project will help us largely reduce our carbon footprint by 95% once it's commissioned. And of course, we also work on the green electricity project as well. So next year, we will be 100% green energy in terms of the electricity. And of course, in the meantime, we want to give back to the society by and working with the other partners like Southland Disability Association on the recycling, the plastic recycling projects to support the community there. And also, as I said, we also are working at the carbon neutral target by 2050. There's another element we are also working on is that being a B Corp by 2025. All these are very ambitious targets we are actively working on. And of course, in Danone, I understand that we are one of the first to be listed in the enterprise mission in France. So it's our commitment to be carbon neutral, to be environmental friendly, to use a sustainable energy for our products.
Thank you. And from what Leon just shared about Danone ambition, Alex, is Veolia developing innovative and sustainable solutions capable of helping them bring that to life in their factory, like create that new futuristic carbon neutral factory?
I would say, Thibaut, that we need more companies like Danone. I think that Veolia wouldn't be the Veolia it is today if we didn't have companies like Danone who are willing to do the right thing by the environment. And this is basically what all Veolia is about. We invest significant amount in technology, in R&D every year to be able to bring technologies to basically address concerns companies like Danone have to improve basically their impact on the environment. And I'll just give you a few examples. Today, we have wastewater treatment plant in the world where we produce more energy than we consume. We have factories where the whole water is recycled in closed loop, and we don't have to extract water from the environment. I visited a couple of months ago a Veolia factory in Korea where we produce plastic out of recycled plastic, and we sell this to Hyundai, and it ends up in the bumper on some Hyundai vehicles. So, we make fertilizer now from sludge from a wastewater plant. So all those technologies, they're available. Veolia is investing in them because our clients are interested in doing the right thing. So, in a way, there's no more waste now. We don't talk about waste. Every waste is a resource potentially, and that's why we invest so much in R&D, is to be able to use what used to be a waste in the past and make a resource out of it.
That's fantastic. I think it comes to the conclusion of this interview. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and be part of those the first Australia-New Zealand Business Day that will be run virtually this year. Leon, thank you so much for your contribution. Alex, thank you so much for all the insights. It's fantastic to see that those two French major companies are really fighting against climate change and taking big steps and have really ambitious target, as you mentioned, Leon. So again, thank you so much for your time with us. I'm sure we'll hear more about very exciting projects that you will be working on together in the future once you are done with this one by mid-year next year. Do you have a last word, Leon? Did we lose Leon? Alex?
No, look, I guess it's just for me, it's a privilege to be working on this project with Danone, and I think you said it. There'll be plenty of other opportunities, and it's yeah. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thibaut. It's really a pleasure to have this opportunity to tell our story together with Alex.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For all the people watching this conference, we send you our kind regards from New Zealand, and we are hoping to see you and meet you soon. Thank you very much. À bientôt. Au revoir.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.